Sure. So I'm a 2019 pass out. Just like most of the people, I'm also an engineering pass out from IT Roorkee in civil engineering. And I've been working in mostly in financial sectors since then. It's been almost 4 years, slightly more than 4 years, in a couple of different banks, one US and one Europe. So currently I'm at an European bank as an AVP. Once I got to know meaning-based approach, I wasn't sure what it is in initial sessions. But as soon as I
Right,
started practicing, I started noticing that there really is a subtle difference between meanings.
right,
Like someone did this was done. These two statements are also incorrect. I mean, different, not
right.
incorrect, according to a meaning-based approach. So that really helped. And I don't know. I didn't have a look at my ESR this time. I'm not going to spend $30 again. I've already spent a
Yeah,
lot.
you don't need to.
But yeah, but
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure my SC would be better.
this is how beautiful your scholaranium stats look like, Navneet,
Mm, the
right?
last, yep. I was really panicked for CR because my accuracy was what
Yeah,
I think 45, 40, 45, and I was like, no,
yeah.
that's
See
not
where
what I
you
want.
are. This indicates very clearly 85th to 90th percentile ability, and I think that is where you are with the P41. Hello and welcome to yet another debrief session with us. I am Dhruv, one of the strategy experts at e-GMAT, and today with me I have a successful GMAT 740 scorer, Navneet. Navneet started his GMAT journey a few months back and has come a long way. He initially started his preparation on his own using a lot of resources available on the internet. His first attempt yielded a good 670. That is when Navneet knew what he wanted and what he was looking for. And that is when his journey from a 670 to a fantastic 740 started with e-GMAT. Navneet ended up with a GMAT 740, Q49, and a V41. He improved by 10 points on the verbal front from his 670 attempt to the most latest attempt, which yielded a 740. Navneet is here to share his journey with all of us and give us his insights and his learnings so that you out there can take some learnings and apply those in your journey. Navneet, thank you so much for doing this and welcome to this session.
Thank you, Dhruv, for such a warm welcome. And sure, here to help, share my experiences if it could help anyone.
Absolutely. So Navneet, as I said, your journey started with you studying on your own, using some resources, and then you pivoted to a more structured approach. But that is when you got enrolled with us. We will go through your entire journey in detail, and but before we start with your journey, I have a question. Uh, how did it feel to see that score of GMAT 740 on the screen? What are the first initial thoughts?
I was really happy. Like, given my last attempt was such a, 670, it was such a score that I was sitting there for 2 minutes, not
Right.
2 minutes, 60, 70 seconds. And I was like, what just happened in the last 3 hours,
Mhm.
10, 20 minutes? I mean, I wasn't expecting that at all.
Right.
740 was a nice thing to see on the score. Yet within 10,
Absolutely.
20 seconds, I looked at my quant score and I was like, oh, I missed 10 points. I did miss 10 points over there, but then it's fine. It's life. You gain something, you lose
Yeah,
something. So I
absolutely.
accepted that, but I was really happy.
But there was something positive out of that first attempt that was a Q50,
Yep.
right? We will discuss about that also as we go ahead. But before we now dive into your entire journey, just help us with a bit about your background, where you come from, what you do.
Sure. So I'm a 2019 pass out. Just like most of the people, I'm also an engineering pass out from IT Roorkee in civil engineering. And I've been working in mostly in financial sectors since then. And it's been almost 4 years, slightly more than 4 years, in a couple of different banks, one US and one Europe. So currently I'm at an European bank as an AVP.
Okay, that's wonderful. Uh, so, how did you stumble upon the idea that you wanted to do an MBA, and for that you chose GMAT?
So last till last year, I wasn't very confident of doing MBA or as such anything. I appeared for CAT, but I didn't study at all. because I wasn't
Okay.
serious. I just applied because a couple of my friends were doing it. So I was thought,
Mm.
okay, let's do it. I'm free. I'm not doing anything. So why not give it a try? But I didn't even try. I just went 25
Yeah.
kilometers to give my exam and then come back, knowing
Okay.
that what's there in store. But
Yeah.
after that, maybe start of this year, I would say around Feb or March, I realized this isn't something which I want to do. What I'm doing in my current role is not something what I want to do in the next, let's say, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. I don't want to just be doing too technical stuff. I want to be closer
Right.
to the business, closer to the market. I'm
Right.
already in a financial role, not a financial role, but in a financial company and a team in which my role is most of an analyst or a technical side on the technical side.
Mm.
So, but I want to move towards the other side, jump
Right.
across the barrier which we have, let's say within India
Right.
and Europe. Most of the roles are
Mm.
in Europe, US. For my bank, for
Mm.
example, I wanted that switch, and to do that switch, I had two options: either think of an MBA, which you can complete in 2 years or 1 year, depending upon the college
Right.
preparation time, 1 year, and so that totals to about 3 years. And then you can make the jump. Maybe not in the same company, maybe not at the same level. You must need to start from scratch, and other things are there, but it is
Right.
possible in 3 years. But the other way is, doing the certification courses like CFA and others. So there's three levels of
Right.
CFA, which you might need at least 2 to 3 years to qualify all those levels. Even for two levels, you need 2 years approx. And then to make the switch is also not easy. People not going to trust
Right.
you right from a technical background just by clearing a couple of exams. You're fit for a financial role. So you need to fight your
Right.
way through. But that was actually a longer process. Mostly like 5, 6 years would have taken me just to get to
Right.
the other side of the barrier, other side of the, not the barrier, the other side of the business. So that actually made me think, why not give it a try? Let's see what happens.
Right.
If I get into it, I can take a call whether I want to go forward with it or not, if it's a good thing or what I wanted, if I've achieved it or not. And that's when I thought GMAT, not CAT, because of a very simple reason. I've already
Right.
have had an experience of 4 years. By the time I'll go into any B school, it will be five
Mm.
years, and 5 years in an Indian IM in a regular course
Right.
isn't something I think would be beneficial for me. Because
Right.
it's the average experience you might also know it's 0 to 2 years. Most of the gets in Bangalore it's slightly higher, but it's still around the same. So no, I am PGPX. I never actually thought because it's mostly for experienced professionals who do not want to change anything, who want to continue in their
Right.
at least in their stream, not even the
Mm.
kind of work they do. That was out.
Yeah.
My first aim was ISB. So I was looking for a 730 kind of a score, which is the average, slightly above average in
Yeah.
ISB, so that I could be assured on the GMAT front and then I could work on the applications. But meanwhile, working on the process, I realized maybe along with ISB, I can try for some others, some of the top
Schools as well.
ones,
Yeah.
abroad schools as well. So why not aim for a 750, 760 instead of a 730, and then decide whether you want to go
Yeah.
or uh, you want to go to ISB or abroad, whatever. I mean,
Right.
things could be decided later on. So that's when I
Yeah.
decided for GMAT, and it was a very random decision, a very quick decision. I think I
Mm.
was I was my home place, Haridwar, which I'm here right now, and
Right.
around May end, 24th, 25th May, I was here for some work. That's when I decided I'm going to give it. I started researching and talked to my friends and other things. And I think by
Right.
mid June, I started my preparation. Mid June, and yep, mid August was my first attempt.
Right.
So around 6, 7 weeks.
Right. Right. So Navneet, uh, when you decided to do the GMAT, take the GMAT, why did you first start doing things on your own? And what made you then think that, you know what, I need a more structured approach to the preparation? And that's when you got enrolled with e-GMAT. Take us through that little journey briefly.
Sure. So as I just mentioned, around May end is when I talked to my friends. There's a friend who is in Berkeley. So I talked to him. He said he actually had attempted GRE, but he gave me an idea that you can actually do it. Material is available online. Just go ahead, Google, find, download, and
Right.
read. That's a very simple process for GRE and GMAT. You can do it on your own. Try
Yeah.
and have a go at it. I downloaded the materials. I used Manhattan books and official guides. Obviously, those are the Bibles. So I started with Manhattan guides for the theoretical part, conceptual part, mostly for the verbal side. And that's when I realized maybe it's not something for which I need an external help. For example, reading comprehension is not something new. We have been doing it
Right.
right from our school days. Maybe
School
not in a
days.
very same structure, but it was always there, even in our English examinations across different classes. So that was there. Critical reasoning, I thought it's a very less of a verbal, more of a logical thinking kind of a question. And I was actually doing good initially. In my first 4 or 5 weeks of my preparation, I was really good at
Right.
critical reasoning. My accuracy was actually 80 to 85% in those questions. But maybe because I was attempting easy, medium questions or whatever,
Right.
I don't know. Sentence correction was something I was struggling with it because, like most of us, I go by the sound of the sentence. If it sounds good, it's
Yeah.
correct. If it does not, it's not. And that's a very, very grossly wrong approach to
Yeah.
go, at least for us non-native, because we do say things which aren't accepted as correct on GMAT, but
Right.
we use it very commonly. So sentence correction was always a pain point. I knew it will be a pain point, but I was hoping on stretching these two components on verbal and taking the
Right.
score to a decent level. Like I wasn't aiming for a 45, 46 verbal. I knew that's not where I am. And a 45, 46 might need way more effort and time than I had.
True.
So I was only aiming for around 37, 38, 39, max to 40, somewhere around that in
Yeah.
my first attempt, so that I could have a decent score at hand and then maybe apply in round one itself and take the things forward. So that was the suggestion I had, and I researched a bit also online, came across a few articles. A few people have written that, they've mostly done self preparation. OG books are like
Right.
the most important source. If you can do that, it's fine. Maybe complete review of couple editions of OG books
Right.
is more than enough in those things. I did that, but it wasn't enough as it turns out, at least for Bubble.
Right. Right. So then you saw the score of 670, and what then, you know, asked you to go and get enrolled in a GMAT prep kind of an institute.
Yep, so 670 score was a shock, as I shared with you earlier also. It wasn't something I was expecting, and even in my wildest of dreams. It just
Right.
wasn't. Maybe even on a slightly better day, on that day itself, I could have scored 700. We'll also talk about the reason why I think my score dipped even further, 30 to 40 points below 700. But yeah, 670 was something I was like, what has just happened? I accepted this course. I didn't even know. So that was the level of my research that I didn't know I can cancel this course and then reinstate them
Mm.
back if I wanted to. I didn't cancel them. I came back and I was sitting outside the center for like 5, 10 minutes thinking about what just has happened. I mean, what am I going to do next? Round one is gone. There's no chance I can now do anything in round one. That was my first thought. But yeah, 670 was very bad. V31 was never in my range. In all my official mocks, I had a score range of V37 to V41. That was the range on a couple of 730s which I got in my official mocks, including the first mock which I had given. It was V37, V41 in one of the mocks. And then I see it V31. I was like, no, this isn't my real potential. But then I realized that I was stuck. I was stuck on most of the sentence correction questions, be it a grammar based question or a context or meaning based question. I was stuck in
Right.
almost all and spent so much time on individual questions that I
Mm.
could not focus on the other two aspects which I wanted to excel, especially the critical reasoning, the CR part,
Right.
which needs time. I could not give because I was just so obsessed with sentence correction that I need to get
Right.
this correct. I spent more than 2, 3 minutes on individual questions and ended up hurting CR as well. Both of the
Right.
sections just got dropped. And right before my exam, I also had a conversation with someone. So she had scored a 770 recently. And one thing she said that have a structure in your approach, be it sentence correction or
Right.
CR. Have a structure. Sentence correction, you absolutely need structure to identify errors in a methodological way. Like, just figure out there's a pronoun error or a subject verb error. think things like these, so that at least
Right.
you can eliminate 2 to 3 options. And for CR, methodology to follow is a very extra important thing, which I never did. I was always like, read the question, understand, okay, this is happening, and then read the options, and then get lost in those options.
Yeah.
Like, okay, this also looks good, this also looks good, this also impacts. And that was the thing. Like, I didn't have any method to follow while doing the questions. For RC, I was fairly good. I didn't have any issue, so I didn't touch that. I didn't bother about doing anything on that part. For CR was the main thing, and the SC, I was like, okay, I'm doing questions, but it's just random. It's like
Yeah.
I'm randomly selecting the options which I think is right. There's no process to it.
Right.
That's when I realized maybe I should get something, get some external help.
Right.
Unlike the first time I decided, at least for the verbal
Right.
part, quant is not an
Right.
issue. So that's when I researched with a couple of materials, which would be the best option for me. I was So that's how I stumbled upon e-GMAT. I really liked the first demo, which
Right.
someone gave. I don't remember the name, sorry. So he did
That's
give me
okay.
a demo. He showed me the platform and everything. Like, these are the questions, topic wise and everything. So I was like, feels good. And it also gives you, option to practice topic wise things, which is in there in OG and other things. I was like, let's give it
Right.
another try and see what happens.
So you came to e-GMAT in search of a process that would give you correct answers more often than not,
Yep.
right? And when we speak about process, and you mentioned that SC and CR were two major areas that you were planning to target and get better at. How did the meaning-based approach or the meaning-based process help you? How did it change your approach towards SC questions?
A lot. I mean, it was the game changer, as Rajat also mentioned in several of his calls. It was really a game changer, at least for the SC
Yeah.
part, because for me, when I looked at my ESR of 670, there are two sections in SC. One is the grammar based questions, and the other is meaning or context based questions, logical questions.
Mm.
In the grammar question, my accuracy was 100%, even in a 670 questions. Probably, or
Right.
most probably, because it's all easy level questions. And I
Okay.
wasn't a 550 or 600 level student, so I was able to ace them. But
Mm.
on the meaning questions, there were six of them, and I only got one correct.
Okay.
Five was straight incorrect. And
Mm.
some of them could be in the last segment of the exam where I didn't have much time left. But yeah, most of
Yeah.
them were right in the first half, I would say. And yet an accuracy of like 1 out of 6 was something I never expected. I never experienced even in my mocks.
Right.
And once I got to know meaning based approach, I wasn't sure what it is in initial sessions. But as soon as I
Right.
started practicing, I started noticing that there really is a subtle difference between meanings.
Right.
Like, someone did this was done. These two statements are also incorrect. I mean, different, not
Right.
incorrect, according to a meaning based approach. So that really helped. And I don't know. I didn't have a look at my ESR this time. I'm not going to spend $30 again. I've already spent a
Yeah.
lot.
You don't need to.
But yeah, but
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure my SC would be better than CR. Could be even better
Okay.
than RC. I'm not sure. RC is like a question here and there, and it drops 10%
Yeah.
there. So SC, but it should be first or second of the three
So,
topics.
did the meaning-based approach also help you with CR and RC?
CR and RC, not a lot. So my issue was not in comprehension in CR.
Okay.
I could understand the questions. For example, my RC was pretty good. I wasn't doing very bad in RC. I could understand the passage. I could figure out, a question relates to this part of the passage and then answer. So comprehension was not an issue. In
Mhm.
CR, what I was struggling with was understanding the options and how they implicate, or they affect the question stem, or the
Right.
question logic. That was something which I was struggling with. And I also used to start thinking outside the question in CR.
Right.
And as a result, start assuming things which are not mentioned in logical, so in the
Right.
logical flow of the question.
Right. Right. So, did pre-thinking help? for CR?
Pre-thinking, it surely did improve. So I was around a 50, 60 percentile in my 670 attempt in CR. It should have gone up to 70, 80 percentile and above at least for me to
Oh,
get a 41. Otherwise, I couldn't get a 41. So I'm assuming it should be around
right,
that. So yeah, that 10, 20 percentile increase is there. Pre-thinking, I could
right,
not practice a lot because I was short on time. I was
right,
running because of several other deadlines in November as well. So I wanted to get done with GMAT in October at any cost. I was
right.
aiming for mid October, but then it pushed to end October because of again a few different reasons. So I did
Mm.
not practice pre-thinking, and I've always thought about this pre-thinking more less of a concept, more of a practicing thing.
Yeah,
Practicing as in it should be in your flow. You
yeah,
should not be
internalized.
like, yes, internalized. Yes, that's the right word. Internalized is the thing. You should have that. Whenever you see the question, the first thing which comes into your mind is that you start pre-thinking before
Mm.
the options. And then once you do your pre-thinking, that's when you start reading your options. And once you have your
Right,
pre-thinking done, you have your pre-thinking done, you can actually look at options very clearly and figure out at least three incorrect, if not four incorrect questions.
right.
So it did help, but I'm not sure to a greater extent because I could not internalize or I could not practice enough to be a habit for me
Okay,
while doing CR questions.
right, right. Well, I would like to share my screen to show you and everybody watching this video right now your progression in both SC and CR. I'm sure with the way you're just talking about your improvement that you're not sure about it, you'll be surprised to see your improvement because it was terrific. So give me just a moment. I'll
Sure.
share this. Here we go. Can you see the screen now?
Yep, I can.
So this is your SC progression. You started here, right? And this is where you reached. You did reach the highest point here, but there was, I think, a bit of dip here. That is very natural, very normal. This happens, but by the time you ended, you were back to your best, right? And this is how your CR looks like. You see this immediate improvement from year
Uh,
to year.
I'd like to point out this third to sixth
Sure,
period. I think that was something I panicked and I shot out a mail to e-support to
right,
support e-GMAT because I was doing critical reasoning. I had solved medium level cementing quizzes. I was through them. As soon as I solved the hard level, I got one correct. I mean, one above 50. I think it was 60,
right.
70 something. And then
60,
the
yeah.
next is 40. The other one again 40. And I was like, okay, wait, I've wasted three of the hard quizzes and I'm struggling to even, get there. It was all 40, 40.
Yeah,
So I shot out a mail that, I'm struggling with CR and all those. Then I think you replied or Rashmi replied. I'm not sure who replied,
it was
but
me.
someone did reply that, um, don't attempt a cementing right away. Try and go back to the concepts, attend concept quizzes, maybe custom quiz,
Yeah,
OG quizzes to internalize the process of pre-thinking.
yes,
So in the next couple of quizzes, which might not be here, the OG quizzes, I did try to do that, even though I had read the question sometimes, because in my first attempts, I had done almost one and a
right,
half edition of OG, and those were the recent ones. So
right,
I knew the question, but still I was trying to understand the logic even before going on to the options, and all of
right.
that within a time constraint. Within a time
Mm.
constraint. So that jump is surely thanks to you to make me or to force me to follow that particular
Yeah,
process to go there. Because CR, even after going through the e-GMAT videos and everything, I was still doing what I was doing 2 months back,
yeah,
a month back. Not a lot has changed. So to force me to do that, and that jump was evident in the next two hard cementing
yes,
quiz. I was suddenly at 70 and 80, or I think 90 or
right,
90. I don't remember exactly, but it was 70 to 90, somewhere around that. I got, I
right,
think, one incorrect or two incorrect. But
right,
that jump was
right.
evident and I could clear the cementing.
Yes, so look, sometimes we have to do this because we know that this is the right way to go about things. and students are sometimes reluctant. But like you just said, the end result made you realize what made sense. And you just spoke about this. Let me just show it. Here it is.
Yep.
This
The
is your
next
CR
attempt is
score.
80-80.
Such a vast difference, such a steep upward curve. And then you look at these ability quizzes. These are tall skyscrapers.
Ability quizzes are something a pleasant surprise to me, which really boosted my confidence. Especially the
Yeah,
last one. Last one, I got everything correct. And I was like, I'm
right.
not going to attempt any more ability quizzes in CR. I'm confident. I'll go with this confidence. Obviously,
Yeah.
I'll attempt the mocks, but not these
Right.
quizzes. I'm not going to hamper my confidence. It feels
Yes,
good
yes.
to have 100% accuracy in CR, at least for
Yeah.
once.
They're
Yeah.
small
Because I
decisions,
was Yep. I was always hesitant about CR of following the process because I've been a technical guy right from the start.
Right,
I've looked at things logically. Yet I was like, CR is a logical sentence that A leads to B, B leads to C, then
right,
just find a link that where the
right,
option sets in. But what I was missing was considering the aspect of the question stem,
right.
not the overall real life aspect, just the question stem.
Yeah,
That's why I was hesitant on accepting anything like a pre-thinking or any other concept. I was like, okay, this is just a technical question. It's just a logical flow. Why
right,
should I need to do this or that and various other things?
right. But you did internalize the process unknowingly,
Yes,
not realizing, and
maybe.
this is pretty evident here. And after you finish your entire SC course, and forget just the SCCR course, verbal course, but the entire journey, your mocks also, this is how beautiful your scholarinium stats look like, Navneet,
Mm, the
right?
last, yep. I was really panicked for CR because my accuracy was what?
Yeah,
I think 45, 40, 45. And I was like, no,
yeah.
that's
See
not
where
what I
you are.
want.
This indicates very clearly 85th to 90th percentile ability, and I think that is where you are with the V40.
Yep.
So this gives us the predictability also. Wonderful, Navneet. The verbal journey was absolutely fantastic. Uh, you understood the approach. You understood why you were being asked to do certain things, why you were being asked to take a few steps back to then propel your ability by a few more 5, 10 steps, right?
Mm,
Um, so a V41, I'm sure, was something that you were expecting and you were hoping for. But the Q49 was something that would have disappointed you, knowing that
it
you
did.
come from an engineering background, strong mathematical abilities already, scored a Q50 on the 670 attempt. This was a Q51 for the taking. What do you think went wrong?
It was heartbreaking to see P49. I wasn't expecting,
Right,
especially in the context of the overall score. I was always trying to get a 750 and
right,
above because that makes me, in a comfortable position for
right.
abroad top colleges. But now 740 is a bit dicey. Maybe not wala position. But yeah,
Yeah,
Q49, and then I look at this code Q49 and then 740. I was like, no, I could have very easily made this 740 into 750 very easily
yes,
just by being there in the quant section. The couple of mistakes which I did was I spent almost like 5 minutes on one question, and I don't remember exactly, but I think I still answered it
a bit
randomly. I mean,
correctly.
I guessed the answer.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's correct or not, but I guessed it, so that's incorrect for me. Even if it gets correct, some other guesses may be incorrect. So even after spending 5 6 minutes, I'm guessing an answer, wasted a lot of time, and this resulted in me not able to attempt the last question. I could not even
last
attempt it.
question.
I could not even see the last question. Just went ahead. I
Yeah,
could select the second last question, could not solve it properly,
right.
but just select. Last question was just out of bounds for me. I could not even select. I didn't realize actually I had around 25 seconds left for both the questions. So I thought maybe I could think about the second last question for 10 15 seconds, mark something, and then go ahead and mark something in the last question and then be done with the exam. But as soon as I started thinking about the second last question, I forgot that there's another question to be attempted. And that's something even my friend told me. As soon as I came back to my flat, he was like, you should have attempted the last question and randomly guessed the second last question. So at least that
Yeah,
makes it 100% attempt. And we all know GMAT, how does it
yeah,
penalize us for missed opportunities
Missed
or
opportunities.
missed questions. So that was really sad, but I don't think so. I'm going to reattempt. It's a very tiring process, studying for like two,
Right,
2.5 months and then giving the exam for 3 years. And then now the GMAT has also changed. Classical is there for some time, but it's now focus. Focus has removed some of the harder questions, but yet
right.
it's this change thing. I need to study DI from the scratch. So maybe I'll just settle with a 740 score. If I don't get in
Right.
anywhere, then I may think of the focus attempt next year. But for now, I've just accepted Q49. It is what it is. Though it's not my real
Yeah.
potential, I know that. I could have, as I said, I
Yeah.
could have very easily scored Q50. But
Yes.
it's just a day. Maybe a
Yeah.
Q50 might have complemented with a V40, so I could have been back to. I mean, that's how
Yeah.
things is. Anything could happen. So
We Indians now understand how important that one particular day is, especially after India lost the World Cup.
absolutely,
Uh,
10 good days and then one bad day.
it still hurts. And I come from a generation who's had this heartache in
2003
2003
as
also,
well.
when I was a kid and I was crying. And this continues. So that very day matters a lot, and you need to be in your senses and need to make those right decisions. Uh, so yeah, I think that is what costed you your 10 points also. So
And
let's talk
why?
about, yeah, go ahead, please.
Sorry, I just wanted to say this. Why I was stuck with the question because in mocks also sometimes either in e-GMAT or in official mock, I used to get stuck in one question, one or two questions at max in the whole quant section. And after giving 4 5 minutes, I was able to solve it. Sometimes it's just
Right,
I'm going on the wrong path. I read the question again and then I'm like, okay, now this is the right way to go. So that was the thinking behind spending more time on the question, but I didn't realize
right,
that official maths, official GMAT, official mocks quant is at this level and real GMAT quant is at this level.
yes,
There's a real disparity between mocks and real exam. In verbal, maybe not. I'm not sure, but in quant, I
mm,
can very surely say that the official mocks are nothing. I mean, I used to complete the
right,
quant section 20 minutes before the deadline. So I used
right.
to have 15 20 minutes left in official mocks quant section, whereas here I was running for my life in the last two questions. So that the difference of level I didn't factor in, and I attempted it as a mock, and I paid the price.
So, did you not practice time management strategies during the mock stages? Or the strategy that you were following or trying to apply wasn't that uh, helpful, and that you realized during the test? What was it? You had mentioned about some article also.
That was more about bubble. In
Okay,
quant, I never faced a time issue. As I said, in most of my
right,
mocks, I mean, it does not give you the time. I think it does give you, I'm not sure, official mocks. If you look at it, I almost in all of the mocks, be it e-GMAT, not in e-GMATs, actually, e-GMAT quant is a little tougher than official mocks. In official mocks, all the 6 and 1 repeat mock I gave, so all the 7 mocks, I always had more than 5 minutes. In one of the mocks, I very clearly remember I had 21 minutes left and one question left to
oh,
solve. And 20 minutes and one question, and that one question was 40 50 second question. So in short, I was done with my quant section with 20 minutes left in one of the mocks. So that was the solution. And in the other, I think it was fourth mock or third mock, I don't remember. The other mock
right,
of that set, it was a similar scenario. I had 12 15 minutes left. It was that easy quant. And I think I
right,
got two questions or one questions incorrect, both Q50 or 51, I don't remember. But yeah,
right,
so time management was something I never considered for quant. Even in my first attempt in quant, I did
right.
uh, encounter harder questions, but they were not so much so that I'll waste some time and I wasn't able to get time at the end. I was still able to complete the complete quant section within time. I think a minute or two was left. But that wasn't an issue at all until the last day, until the 740 attempt
Right.
day. So that just wasn't there in my planning at all. I was like, quant to ho jayega. That was the thinking. I never thought that I need to set a time limit that 3 or 4 minutes is the
Yeah.
max you need to spend on a question. 6 minutes is way too much. And then doing it, I think on two questions. on one question I spent about 6 minutes, on the other question I spent about 4 minutes. It's just waste of
Right.
time. And then you will encounter, like, geometry is not something I'm very comfortable with. So if it's a geometry question, I'll probably skip it or do. So these things actually lead up to a 6, 7 incorrect questions or 5 incorrect questions,
Yeah.
which drops the score down. In the verbal, the article which you mentioned, so that was a very big mistake, I would say. I did. So
In the
during
first
my
attempt?
in the first attempt, during my
Okay.
first attempt, right before my first attempt, the first mistake I did was I took it very lightly in the last 2 to 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks. I didn't study. I didn't practice a lot. I was like, I'll just calm myself. But that calming period was way too long. I should have done at least only 2 days rather than two weeks or 2 3 weeks. So I didn't study. I was looking at videos online, just about verbal sections, different intricacies of CRSC and those things. I spent my time mostly on that, stopped studying. Theoretically, watching video is a theoretical revision of concepts, but I wasn't practicing at all. Any of the questions. No CR, no SC, no RC, nothing. And then right on the day before, like I have my exam tomorrow, and while sleeping tonight, I came across an article which was like, first 10 questions or first 20 questions or first 5 questions are way more important than last X number of questions.
Right.
I read through it. I read the articles that said that first are important. Initial questions are important. Last questions are not. And till that time, I was always giving equal time to all the questions. I wasn't like 9 questions. The first quarter of my test, I have to give 15 minutes or 24
Yeah.
minutes. And I wasn't thinking of that. I was just thinking it's around 9 questions. It's around 16 minutes. That's what I've got according to
Right.
the 1.7, 1.8 time limit. That's it. And I was doing it fine. Sometimes I used to get rushed in the back end. In the back end, generally in verbal, I used to struggle with time. Like if there's 4 5 questions
Right.
left, I may be left with a 6 minute, 7 minute max time. So there was
Right.
there, but it was just for a 5 6 questions, and that too at the last end, which according to the
Mm.
article itself was like it's not going to impact the score much, and it never did in my mocks or other times as well. But I read that article and I was like, okay, first questions are really important. They drop your score by 5 10 points. They can.
Right.
So I was like, okay, I'll focus on the first questions very seriously. And believe me, I'm thinking of all of this. I think 17 hours before my exam.
Right.
So I sleep at around 12 or 1 in the night, and my exam was 5 p.m. next day. So 17 hours before the exam, I'm changing my strategy completely. Like I'll attempt the
Right.
first questions very carefully, spend time on them, and then maybe rush through the last questions. I thought that it's okay. I could have given them 2 minutes instead of a 1.7 minutes or 1.8 minutes. But during the real exam, first question comes up. It's this SC question. And I'm sitting there thinking about a one line question. It's not a big question. It's not like a very big, lengthy, the complete sentence is underlined. No, it just, I think 5 6 words were underlined, a single sentence
Right.
question. And I'm thinking for the correct option between two options for 4 minutes. And I was like, because
Right.
I had to attempt it very carefully. The first few questions,
Right.
I spent 4 minutes for a single level question, which obviously would be a 500, 600 level question. And then
Right.
that too, I was confused only in two options. It wasn't like I had no idea of the question. Two options, I could have marked
Right.
anything and moved on, save 2 minutes. I did. I did that. I did similar things on other questions as well. And I remember somewhere around when I was around 17th, 18th questions, like my first two sets were complete, which I was going to focus on. The time left was 21 minutes, I think 21, 22 minutes. So for the last 18, 19 question, I had 21 minutes, around
Yeah.
a minute and slightly more than a minute,
Yeah. Minute
like
and few seconds
for
per question.
50% of the question. Even though in my ESR, I saw my accuracy was still pretty bad in the first quarter,
Okay.
even after spending so much of
Spending so
time.
much time.
My accuracy was, I think, 65, 66% in the first quarter. Then it improved from first to second to third, probably because the level of questions dropped from first to second.
Yeah.
Then second to third, I got back to where I am in the decent amount of time. So third was the best set, but because I don't want to say the word, but I fucked up so
Yeah.
much in the first 2 quarters that nothing, one question incorrect in third quarter could do anything. And then fourth quarter is
Right.
again, I had like 30 seconds on average per question or
Right.
even less. I just couldn't do anything. Even RC was something which I just rushed it through. That was a decision which I like. I attempted the RC with full focus, 3 4 minutes, because I knew I could correct these. and I just guessed the other SC and CR ones. Good decision, but then overall decision making was pretty bad. I
Yeah.
wasted so much of time.
So this was on the 670 attempt.
Yep.
I'm sure you changed all of these things in the 740 attempt. If you can
Yep.
just summarize that test experience.
Yep. Obviously, first thing, as I said, I followed the original strategy which I had, not giving importance to any particular question, following the proper method, like 16 minutes per set, 16 minutes per quarter. Then there's 1 minute left. You can take it anywhere. Maybe a minute, two here and there can be there. You can solve for it, maybe guess a
Right.
question in between and, catch up that time. That's fine. You can do that. So that was the first recorrection. I wasn't going to take any longer than 3 minutes, because
Right.
even in this attempt, I was struggling in SC questions. It wasn't like a sail through verbal section for me. No, it
Right.
never was. In fact, RC was decent. Yeah, the last few passages were tough. I mean, they were long and longer questions as well, question stems. But it's fine. For SC, what I saw was smaller questions, comparison questions. But
Yeah.
comparison was my weak point. And there were so many. I think 4 or 5 questions were there. Just the comparison ones. And
Yeah.
comparison ones is like 3, 4 words are highlighted, underlined, and then you need to choose the answer. I wasn't very good with ellipses and all those. So I did
Right.
struggle in SC a bit, but then I wasn't going to spend more than 3 minutes. I decided more than 2 minutes, sorry, more than 2 minutes
Right.
on any of the questions. I'm not going to spend, because then that could reduce my time on RC and CR, which actually needs 2 minutes per question approximately. So the first course correction was this, that I'm not going to spend any extra amount of time on any question.
Right.
I wish I could have applied this in quant as well. I didn't. So
Yeah.
and the second course correction was, in my first attempt, I started with section order, verbal quant, and then the other two.
Right.
I practiced 3, 4 mocks, 3 mocks, I think, with this. And then in the last 2 mocks, I changed it to quant and verbal. And my scores were around the same level, not much decrease. It didn't
Right.
decrease much, but it was on the higher side. At least the verbal was on the higher side. Quant was a slightly
Mm.
dip. And then I read the other article. So both these
Yeah.
combined thing, I thought maybe let me start with my verbal, take time in the initial questions, and then go ahead to quant. So that again was not a great section order, which I saw in my second attempt. Quant is something which I can do even my half mind working, like at least the initial questions, because I think
Right.
I'm not someone who's right up from the first question. You need a
Right.
little bit time, maybe a couple of questions
Warm
to
up.
get me charged
Yeah.
up, warm up. Yes. So for quant, I can manage that. The first 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 questions are not something you really need time, or you
Yeah.
need your 100% mind working. I did not do that in the first attempt. I started with verbal, and the first question took me 4 minutes, because I just wasn't there at the moment. I was trying to answer the question, but I was maybe randomly thinking anything, or whatever the reason is. So these are the two main course corrections I did. Have your
Right.
preferred section at top, and then verbal or whatever the other section is, and then the AWNIR is it's okay. You can manage that,
Right.
and don't spend more than 2 minutes. 2.5 minutes. In quant, you can take it to 3.5 minutes, because in quant,
Yeah.
you can solve question 30 seconds,
Yes.
40-second questions are also there. In verbal,
Yeah.
I would advise, please don't suggest, please don't take more than 2 minutes, because in verbal, every question is a time consuming question, be it an SC. If you are comfortable with SC, it's fine. If you can do SC in 1 minute, then maybe take more than 2 minutes
Two and a
in
half minutes.
CR,
Yeah.
2.5
See. Yeah.
kind of in CR. But if you're not comfortable like me, if I'm using up all the time for SC also, the allotted time, then I can't spend more than two
Mm.
minutes. Fortunately, I was good with RC. I could complete the
Right.
complete passage of a 3 question in like 4.5 minutes. So I used to save up time there and
Mm.
invest those extra times in RC and CR.
Right. Some wonderful piece of advice that you given to all the viewers right now. So Namit, we have now come to the end of this session, and I'm sure there are a lot of takeaways, right? And if there is anything else that you want to add, any learnings that you want to add, because I think you've covered almost everything. And with that, we'll end the session.
Sure. Couple of important learnings is what I just mentioned. Don't change whatever you've been doing for the past 2 months. Don't change in the
Yeah.
last moment, irrespective of who says this. Don't. I mean, no one knows what. what the GMAT can throw at you in the real exam. So don't change anything. What has worked for you will work
Right.
for the real GMAT. Don't believe the GMAT official scores, official mock scores. Take it with a pinch of salt.
Right.
I'm not saying they're incorrect, because in my second attempt they were pretty close. I got a 750
Right.
in my mock and I got a 740 in real GMAT. It's slightly here and there. You could take it with a pinch of salt. Don't believe that if you're getting a 750, you'll anyways get a 750 in real GMAT. On a good day also, you could end up with a 720. So be careful about how you analyze the scores you get. And yeah, don't focus on a single aspect of the test, as I did. I'm not sure how my RC went. I think it would have been good, because I was encountering hard level RC questions at the end and it was
Right.
taking time. So I'm expecting that or maybe it was the complete verbal section going good enough as compared to last time that I encountered tougher questions at the end. But yeah, don't focus on a single section. It hurt me. The quant hurt me. It
Yeah.
dropped from Q50. Instead of trying to improve from 50 to 51, I actually dropped 1 point. So that could be a detriment going forward in my applications. I mean, a 750 looks different and a 740 looks different. I don't know how much difference it will create. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe I won't even realize the difference, or it would not matter to me a year down the line. But please don't focus, because in the 2 months with e-GMAT, I only focused on CR and
Yes.
SC. I reaped the rewards in those two sections. I'm not sure how my RC went. It should have been good. I'm expecting. Otherwise,
Yeah. With a
I could
V41,
not
it's
get. Yep,
surely.
I could not get a 41 with a bad RC. RC is a big component. 1340 questions, you get it. So should have been good. But yeah, if I think I had focused on quant more, maybe gone through the lectures or videos at e-GMAT, I could have been able to solve those high level questions in given time,
Yeah.
in 1.5 minutes instead of 2 or 3 minutes taking for every
Right.
question. So that way things could have been different maybe. So try not to focus on a single aspect. Focus on, even if you are good at it, focus. At least give some respect to it.
Yeah. All right, Navneet, thank you for this lovely session. Thank you for being a part of this. You have
Sure.
no idea, you've helped a lot of people already out there. And I hope that people take away a lot of learnings from your journey and make newer mistakes in their own, right? Because that is how
Sure.
wise people
Learn from
work and
mistakes.
learn. Yes, from other people's mistakes
Others'
also.
mistakes. Yep.
Yes. So thank you so much for doing this, Navneet. Do keep us posted about your application process, and once you get an admit, we would be really happy to celebrate that with you. And with
Sure.
this, we would like to end this session. Thank you so much to everybody. And thank you once again, Navneet, for doing this.
Sure. Thank you, Dhruv. Thank you. And as I said in the mail also, a V31 to V41, I really attribute it to GMAT.
Yeah,
So thank you. Thanks a
a
lot.
pleasure, pleasure. Thank you.